If you were around during the days of the Nintendo GameCube, you may remember the studio Silicon Knights. They were a Canadian-based video game developer that rose to prominence with some excellent GameCube titles that really put the studio on the map as one of the very best in the industry at the time. But with only 9 games ever released and closing their doors in 2014, rumors of unreleased games have circulated, and in today's episode, we have a real treat for the fans of Silicon Knights games and indeed preservation. A cancelled SK game has been uncovered, and not only are we going to take a deeper look at it, more importantly, we're preserving it by uploading it to the Internet Archive. But before we dive in, a quick word from today's sponsor, Gameloft. Today's episode is brought to you by Gameloft and their brand new game, Carmen Sandiego. Wait, did I just say brand new? Older viewers may recall Carmen Sandiego originally released in 1985, but now 40 years on in 2025, Carmen Sandiego is back, and for the very first time in the franchise, you get to control the Scarlet Super Thief herself in all new adventures. Solving the mystery combines detective-based gameplay, cool gadgets, thrilling puzzles, and educational exploration. As Carmen Sandiego, you'll travel to exotic places around the world as you track down and outwit the evil Vile operatives, gather clues and narrow down suspects to uncover the mystery of a stolen Phantom jet in this 3D world that brings Carmen Sandiego to life like never before. I'm a big fan of the stealth sneaking mechanic that allows you to catch up and apprehend suspects without them realizing. And check out this gift box that contains some awesome goodies, including a confidential folder and a blue light pen to reveal even more clues about characters in the game. Carmen Sandiego is perfect for everyone. Whether you're a long-time fan or new to the franchise, the game offers fun, adventure, and learning for all. And you won't have to wait. The game is available today on all consoles and PC. So why not check it out for yourself? Rediscover the thrills of solving mysteries with Carmen Sandiego by clicking on the link in the description below or scanning the QR code to dive in. Once again, a huge thanks to Gameloft for sponsoring today's episode. Founded in 1992 and after some early releases, Silicon Knights rose in popularity with 1996's Blood Omen Legacy of Kain. But perhaps they were best known for signing with Nintendo in the early 2000s, and they would release 2 games on the Nintendo GameCube that turned the studio and its president Dennis Dyack into household names. The first would be Eternal Darkness, which would be heralded for its fourth wall breaking sanity effects, which were unheard of at the time. Eternal Darkness was a massive departure from what we would normally play on a Nintendo system, and while the game didn't sell particularly well, it's considered one of the best horror games ever.
I see that you enjoy Nintendo games. You like Silicon Knights games, don't you? So, you like adventure games? Did you enjoy playing Eternal Darkness?
The second game was more polarizing. Silicon Knights and Nintendo would partner with Konami to bring Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes, the exclusive remake, to the GameCube in 2004. Now, whatever your thoughts about the game, it reviewed and sold quite well. But just as Silicon Knights and Nintendo seemed destined for a long partnership, it abruptly ended in 2005 when Silicon Knights partnered with Microsoft to bring their game Too Human to the Xbox 360. It was a science fiction based retelling of Norse mythology and featured cybernetic Norse gods. You as the player control the Norse god Baldur, who's less cybernetic as the other gods, therefore being too human. After delays, the game finally released in 2008 exclusively for the Xbox 360. In 2011, Silicon Knights would develop their final game, X-Men Destiny, which was published by Activision and based on the X-Men comic book series. But this would be Silicon Knights' last game. In 2014, the company filed for bankruptcy due to legal issues with Epic Games over the misuse of Unreal Engine 3. With only 9 commercial releases, Silicon Knights was gone. But there were some interesting cancelled projects that were being developed. There were sequels to Too Human, Eternal Darkness, and other projects known as Siren in the Maelstrom, The Box, The Sandman, and King's Quest. These cancelled projects were outlined in a 2012 NeoGAF thread. But there is at least one more cancelled Silicon Knights game from the studio that has not been publicly disclosed until today. What you're looking at here is Project PO, the codename for an unreleased and cancelled game that started development in October of 2011. It's a third-person mystery adventure game where you play as a private investigator that has a heightened sense of smell and uses this sense to find clues to ultimately solve murder cases. The story of Project PO is an interesting one. Development of the game began in October of 2011, and a vertical slice outlining a murder in a city apartment was put together in about 8 weeks by a small team at the studio. This game may seem a bit unconventional, but if we go back to 2011, murder mystery detective games like LA Noire were very popular. This small vertical slice that you can see here was grey boxed to show some of the features of the gameplay. As the PI, you start by walking into the rooms of the apartment, and pressing X will show off areas where smells can be located. As you use your heightened sense of smell, you'll piece together a timeline of what happened. The gameplay advances as you connect smells with clues. For example, in the bathroom on the sink, there's some blood mixed with some herbs. The scent of the herbs can also be found on the victim's body, as well as the chef's clothes next to the victim's body. This scent is then denoted by a specific color, which lets the player know that they need to revisit those clues in order to uncover more information.
Bespeaks of a lot of care and thought into the act. What's this? These are the same herbs that lay beside the sink. Perhaps they've been used as a sort of seasoning. A fragrant aroma emanates strongly here. With a sample in my possession, other sources of the scent will become clearer.
Sure, DNA and hair samples would probably be how murders are actually solved, but this is a private investigator with some special abilities. The game was to be mission-based with different murders to solve. It's a very dark game that has some horror elements to it. In the gritty Silicon Knight style, this game could have been something really cool, and is a nice departure from their normal works. Of course, as we can see, the entire game is grey boxed. This is a technique to quickly prototype game design concepts. In game development, this is a common approach that allows developers to focus on the most important aspects of the game, including the core game mechanics, game pacing, puzzle mechanics, and of course the fun factor. Usually once the core gameplay is down, then the artistic vision of the game can be then applied.
I believe that I have enough leads to continue the investigation, but there are a few questions that remain unanswered.
As for the codename Project PO, it's likely a play on the acronym PI, or Private Investigator. Rather than Project PI, the game is called Project PO, or Project Odor. The game was developed for the Xbox 360 with a possibility of a multi-SKU project, but the game was never greenlit, and there was no more work ever done on the project beyond the initial vertical slice that was built for the RFP. Just another video game that never got made. For those that may be interested in learning more about how I came into possession of this cancelled project, I was approached by an ex-Silicon Knights employee back in 2022 who had this build on their hard drive. We weren't sure if it was complete or if it would even run. However, after installing the release on an old Xbox 360 development kit, it launched without issue. I've had an unlisted YouTube video showing off this game for years, and I'll finally leave a link to that in the description below for everyone to check out. Now, if you are looking to play the game, we have preserved it on archive.org in the description below, and of course, I'm doing my part to help with preservation of everything video game related on this channel, so thank you once again to my contact who worked at Silicon Knights that did provide this game for me to release out into the wild, so huge thank you to that. This is something that has kind of been in the works for almost 3 or 4 years now. There's been a little bit of delays, but we're finally at the point where we can get this game out the door, which is awesome. Now, if you do want to check out the game for yourself, there are a couple of different ways to do it. The first one is if you own a Xbox 360 dev kit or an XDK, you can run the game very, very easily. Now, when you extract the zip file, there are 2 separate executables to be aware of. These are .xex extensions or Xbox executables, and there is the po-release.xex and the po-ship.xex. The one that you want to run is the po-ship.xex. Unfortunately, the release.xex will not run. I'm assuming they're just exactly the same executables, but if anyone can run the other executable, there may be some more interesting information to uncover. The second option is if you have a modified, a JTagged or a RGH'd Xbox 360, a modded console, you can also run the game if you can find a way to get the files onto your hard drive, or you can run it from USB directly using a dashboard such as Freestyle Dash or Aurora. No issues there whatsoever. In fact, all the gameplay that you see in this particular episode has been directly captured from my modified, my RGH'd Xbox 360, so rest assured the game will launch there. And if you don't have an Xbox 360, but you still want to take a look at this prototype or this cancel game, then Xenia, an Xbox 360 emulator, will also run the game just fine. In my experience, I didn't notice any graphical issues or any type of issues with the game. It just ran as normal. So if you want to just check out the game with an emulator, that is something you can also do as well. We're going to leave it here for today's episode, guys. This was just a quick one to outline some really cool new discoveries that are out there. And if anyone else is interested in preserving the contents of their Xbox or Xbox 360 hard drives, maybe you are a game developer, you still have old equipment, and you think that you may have something that is really cool that you want to get preserved, just reach out to me. I do have the means to dump anything Xbox and Xbox 360 related without too much fuss. And yeah, reach out to me if you want assistance with that. I'm more than happy to help, and we'll always make sure that the games get released to the public and are made available and are preserved forever. I'm not someone that is a proponent of hoarding prototypes or hoarding games, or basically holding things at ransom to get some type of monetary reward or something like that. And honestly, that's not really something I've ever been interested in doing myself. We're going to leave it here for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye for now.